The International Nuclear and Radiological Event Scale The International Nuclear and Radiological Event Scale was introduced in 1990 by the International Atomic Energy Agency in order to enable prompt communication of safety-significant information in case of nuclear accidents. However, considering that it can be difficult to interpret this during a disaster, the disaster's level is typically assigned long after the nuclear disaster has actually occurred. The scale ranges from 0 to 7, 0 representing a problem with no safety significance at all, and 7 representing a major nuclear disaster akin to that of Chernobyl or Japan's disaster. For more information on the Chernobyl disaster, you can check out our YouTube video on the subject, which will be linked down below. In today's post, what we're going to be doing is exploring the INES scale in depth, as well as examples of what has occurred at each level. Now, an important note before continuing this scale is logarithmic. This means that it grows exponentially. For example, going from a level 6 to a level 7 disaster is huge. It's not like you're going from 60 cookies to 70 cookies. It would be the cookie equivalent of going from 60 cookies to 600 cookies. So as you can see, the changes from one level to another are huge. Nuclear disasters like Chernobyl have severe effects on humanity and wildlife. And as we've seen with such a disaster, just a little radiation can turn a beautiful forest into a desolate wasteland or a thriving city into a ghost town. So let's take a look at the range of nuclear disasters and how they can affect us humans as well as wildlife. Level 0 is deviation. A deviation is a problem which holds no safety significance. There is no damage caused to the humans, the plant, or wildlife nearby. This would be something which is very easy to fix and just a small problem. Level 1, anomaly. An anomaly on this scale represents a few different issues, such as overexposure of a member of the public in excess of statutory annual limits. This means basically someone got a little bit too much radiation in the public. Minor problems with safety components with significant difference in depth remaining. Low activity lost or stolen radioactive source, device, or transport package. While these are dangerous situations, they typically have no severe consequences. Level 2 is when the danger starts to pick up, and level 2 is classified as an incident. This is when a member of the public, which is pretty much just a random person by the way, receives a lot of radiation exposure. Or it could be significant contamination or abnormally high radiation levels within the facility which were not expected or designed for. An example of this would be the Sellafield Magnox reprocessing facility located in the United Kingdom, and in 2017 there was confirmed exposure to radiation of individuals which were exceeding the dose limits that were expected. Again, this is not too serious, and while it will affect people potentially long-term, people are not dying or experiencing severe short-term issues. A level 3 is a serious incident. Some of the impacts of a serious incident include exposure in excess of 10 times the normal limit of radiation exposure, or non-lethal deterministic health effects. For example, this would be a burn caused by the radiation. Some of the things which can cause it are a near accident at a nuclear power plant with no safety provisions remaining, or lost or stolen highly radioactive sealed source. Again, in Sellafield, United Kingdom, at the Thorpe plant, in 2005 there was a very large leak of a highly radioactive solution held within containment. Luckily for this, there were not serious injuries in the public. Level 4 is an accident with local consequences. The impact of a level 4 accident typically involves at least one human death. According to the official scale, here's the impact on wildlife and humans. It includes 3 things. Number 1, minor release of radioactive material unlikely to result in implementation of planned countermeasures other than local food controls. So what this means is that there isn't too huge of a governmental response or safety helicopters coming in and all kinds of stuff like this. This just means that there will have to be just a few small things done. Number 2 is it includes at least one death from radiation exposure. And number 3 is release of significant quantities of radioactive material with a high probability of significant public exposure. Some of the examples of this include in India in 2010, a university irradiator was sold for scrap and dismantled by dealers unaware of the hazardous materials, which ended up exposing a lot of people to the radiation. Also in Buenos Aires in Argentina 1983, there was a critical accident on a research reactor RA-2 during field rod rearrangement, which killed one operator and injured 2 others. A level 5 accident is accident with wider consequences. This is when things get severe and can greatly affect the public. Whereas in a level 4 accident, we're seeing a death or a couple deaths and injuries. Level 5 is when this starts to spread out into nearby villages. Some of the impacts on wildlife and humans include several deaths from radiation, as well as limited release of radioactive material. And it will require some countermeasures from the government, such as a coordinated plan to fight the radiation and hazard and actually solve the problem. One of these actually occurred in the United States. The 3 Mile Island accident near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania on 28 March 1979. A combination of design and operator errors caused a gradual loss of coolant, leading to a partial meltdown. The amounts of radioactive gases released into the atmosphere are still not definitively known, so injuries and illnesses that have been attributed to this accident can only be deduced from studies. Again in Brazil, this occurred in September 1987. An unsecured cesium chloride radiation source left in an abandoned hospital was recovered by scavenger thieves unaware of its nature and sold at a scrapyard, which led to the contamination of 249 people as well as the deaths of 4 others. Level 6 is a serious accident. The big differentiator between level 5 and level 6 is that level 6 requires serious governmental countermeasures and organized efforts in order to contain and fix the damage that was caused. An important note is that this was not the Chernobyl incident. As of September 2020, when I am recording this, there have only been one level 6 accident in history. And this was in the Maya Chemical Combine, the MCC, in the Soviet Union, September 29, 1957. A failed cooling system at a military nuclear waste reprocessing facility caused an explosion with a force equivalent to 70 to 100 tons of TNT, and about 70 to 80 metric tons of highly radioactive material were carried around into the surrounding environment. The impact, however, on the local population is not fully known. However, reports of a unique condition known as chronic radiation syndrome is reportedly due to the moderately high dose rates that 66 locals were continuously exposed to, and at least 22 villages had to be evacuated as a result of this issue. Level 7 is major accident, and you've likely heard of the only 2 level 7 major accidents that have occurred to date. These accidents have severe widespread health and environmental effects, requiring implementation of planned and extended countermeasures. An example of this would be the infamous Chernobyl disaster, as well as the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. Both of these events led to several deaths and severe damage in nuclear waste. So in summary, the International Nuclear Event Scale determines just how severe a particular nuclear accident was. The 2 level 7 incidents in history, the Fukushima and Chernobyl, have prompted extreme safety measures in order to prevent this level of accident from ever happening again. Level 7 incidents have the potential to vastly change regions of the Earth, as seen as in the Chernobyl exclusion zone. While nuclear power is amazing, it's important that we use this power very wisely. Now, while it is important to live radiation-free, it's also important to keep your home free of wildlife and pests. So if you think that you have a wildlife or pest-related problem,
having trouble with wildlife in your home or office? Wildlife X-Team is your solution to get rid of the raccoons, bats, rats, and snakes. Having a professional team, we offer both residential and commercial animal removal methods by using innovative and integrated techniques. Our services include animal trapping, dead animal removal, nuisance wild animal control, and animal capture. What are you waiting for? To get 24/7 service, call us at 855-WILDLIFE for an affordable solution for your nuisance wildlife issues.